Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you something interesting. Okay, what if I tell you that you can make your Flutter application using Python? Okay, sounds interesting. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Actually, we are going to make two applications using Python, and these are going to be Flutter apps. So when I say Flutter apps, what does it mean? So basically, behind the scenes, it uses the Flutter toolkit to build the UIs, and the application which we are creating, we will write it using the programming language Python. So yes, let's get started and let's see how that works. So for this, we are gonna use something called a flat framework. Okay, so this is a new framework. This is still under development. It can help us in making interactive, multi-user web, desktop and mobile application. As of now, it supports web and desktop, but yes, mobile applications also you can do in the future. So this is a very good project. I was going through it and I was checking how it works and everything. So I found it interesting, and I guess you will find it too. So let's get started. So if you're using MacBook, then you must be knowing that Python comes pre-installed inside your MacBook. If you're using Windows or Linux, so you can install Python, and once you install Python, it will also come up with pip, which is a package manager for Python. So we have to do just one thing, and that is installing flat using pip. So if you're using Python 2, you can just say pip install flat. Okay, and if you're using Python 3, for example, I'm using Python 3, so you can just say pip 3 install flat. And if I just write or if I just enter this, then I can see that I have already installed 0.10.4, and that's all you have to do. I have a new folder called Python Flutter, which is a blank folder. If you see, this is a blank one. Okay, I'll just open it using VS Code. So now I have it opened. If you see, we have just .vs code, nothing else. So how we will create our first application? Okay, before doing that, I'll just show you that first application which we are going to create is a counter application. Very simple app, just having two buttons which increase or decrease the counter, just to see how it works. And the second will be a full-fledged to-do application. If I show you over here, so this is a macOS app. As of now, you can see it's a responsive app. What we are gonna do, we can add a task, let's say a random task. We can click on plus button and we can edit it. So we can just say something like this, and we can delete it as well. We have three tabs. One is all, which, so let's say for example we complete this task, then in active we see the uncompleted task, and in completed we see just one completed task. And we can also clean all of that by saying clear completed. So all the completed tasks will be cleared. So that's the major thing which we can do with this app. But let's see first of all how this entire thing works. So to give you more idea about this, what we are gonna do, we will just create a new file over here. So we can just say counter.py. So this is the file which we want, counter.py, nothing else. First thing which we have to import is flat. Okay, flat, and from flat we can import star, for example, for now. Although I will suggest you to don't import all, but import only the things which you need. Okay, so right now I'm importing all, but we will change it later. Okay, similar to Dart, it also starts from function main. So this is how we write functions in Python, if you don't know. And if you already know Python, then it's a good way to start. It's also have an argument called page, which is gonna help us in, it will work as a material app basically. So I can just say page.title, and it will have, let's say, counter app. Okay, and for example I can just say page.vertical alignment. For example, it can be center. Okay, and then what we can do, this using this page we can add some UI. Okay, so I can just say page.add. Okay, this is what we have to do. And we can have a UI. For example, we can have a row where we can have controls. Either you can specify by controls, or you can just say two braces. Okay, and along with that, in fact, you can also give it alignment, for example center. Okay, so this is something which we can do. And then inside that we can have sort of, for example, we can have a minus button, then a text field, and a plus button, right? So first thing which we need is a minus button. So how we will do that, right? That is the question. So we can use something called icon button, right? It can have, for example, icons dot remove. Okay, so this is for minus. And on clicking on it, what I want to do, on click, let's say I say minus clicked. Okay, so this is the function which I'll call, and I think that's all you have to do, nothing else. Okay, so this is minus click. Then we also need a text field, right, which will do the job for us. So let's specify a text field over here. Text field, it's a variable which will be a widget, basically a text field widget. So text field can have a value which will be a string. It will have a width as well, so you can width, say, let's say 100, and then you can specify height or text alignment, for example. So by default, let's keep it right. Okay, by default it's center. So we have a text field. So after this icon button, we can have this text field, and then we can have another icon button which will have just icons dot add. Okay, as of now we don't understand what is icons, what is minus clicked and plus clicked. So let's import all of this. Rather than saying star, we can just say page first of all, then we can have a text field, then we can have a row, then we can have an icon button, then we can have icons. Okay, so we are done with this part. Now we have to create these two functions or methods. So we can just say def minus clicked. Okay, this looks fine to me. And then we will have an event as e, and then we can say when we click on minus, we want our text field dot value. Rather than saying this, we can just say integer of our text field dot value -1. Okay, so right now as you can see, the value is 0, which is a string. So we'll convert it to integer, and then we will subtract 1 from it. And then I guess that's all we need actually. And then we will have another function similar to that for add or plus clicked. Okay, and then rather than -1, we will have +1. Okay, and then once we are done with that, then at the end we have to just say flat dot app. Okay, we can just say target is main, and that's it. And to run this application, what we have to do, we have to look into terminal. You have to write Python if you are using Python 2, or if you're using Python 3, then Python 3. And then you can say counter.py, which is this, and then run this application. What it will do, by default, it will run as a Mac OS application. Okay, so for that, okay, 1 second, let me run it again. So now if I'll show you this, 1 second, I guess I can show you. It's running over here. So you can see we have a counter app where we have plus minus, but when I click over here, nothing happens. Why this is happening? Because we haven't updated our UI when we click on the button. So when we click minus, when we click plus, if you remember Flutter, we have something called set state. So rather than that, we have something called, we can use this page and we can call the update method. And if I do it here as well, that will solve the problem. Let's run our application again, Python 3 counter.py, and then this is working perfectly fine. So this is our counter application, which is looking very good. This is right now running in a Mac OS application. Let's see how we can run it on a browser. So to run it on the browser, you have to just go back, and here when you say flat.app target main, we can also change the view basically, and we can just say flat.web browser. So now if I do that, if I run this again, Then you will see it will open a browser counter application on localhost this, and it's a Flutter application, so technically this is the same web view. And if I inspect it, then you can see we have the same main.dart.js, and it is also using canvas kit. So at the end, this is Flutter web. So yeah, I mean, that's what you do. And it's a very simple process. And if you remember, we didn't install anything, we didn't install Flutter, we didn't install anything at all. We just had to install Flat, and then it's just a single file which is running our application. That's the beauty of this framework. So that's why I like this framework, and I thought about creating something out of it. Right now, this is a very simple one. Okay, let's see how we can make our second application, which is a to-do app. Okay, so just to make it faster, I'll try to copy and paste few code here and there. So to-do app, again the same situation. We can just say import Flat. Okay, and then from Flat we can import many things. Okay, so I'll tell you what we need for this. Okay, I already showed you the application. So first of all, we need a page, which all of you know. Okay, then if you remember, we had a text field, so we need the text field. Okay, then if you remember, we had a floating action button, so we need a floating action button. We need a column, we need a row, we need a text, right? And we need, what else? We need an icon button, we need an outlined button where we were saying clear completed task, right? We need something like tabs, we need a single tab as well. So all of these we need. We have already set text. We need user control. User control is nothing but a stateless widget or a stateful widget, you can say. And then we need few things like colors and icons. Okay, if we will need anything else, we will just import it later. Yeah, one more thing which I remember is basically we need a checkbox as well. Okay, this is cool. So these are the things which you will need, or you can just say import star if you want to import everything, but I don't support that particular thing. Okay, so now what we want, we have to write a main function, as we all know. So page as page, right? And then we will have some title and an alignment. So for example, for title we can say a to-do app, right? So it should be like this. So to-do app, we have page title to-do app, horizontal alignment as center, right? Now in the last example, if you see the counter application, we just created the UI directly inside this main method, which we won't be doing all the time, right? We don't want to make it complex. So what we will do, we can create an application instance. So for example, in Python, you specify comments with hash, right? So you can say create and create a to-do. It should be create a to-do app instance. So how you will do it? You will just say app is equal to to-do app. Okay, or let's say we call it my to-do app. Okay, so this is our app instance, and then you will add it to your page like we added row last time, right? So that's all you have to do. Okay, and then at the end, how we run it, we can just say flat dot app target is equal to main, view is equal to flat dot web browser, for example, right? So this is all we have to do. Now this my to do app does not exist, so we have to create it. Okay, so how we will create it? So to create it, it is going to be very simple. We will create over here a new class. We will just name it my to do app, and it will inherit user control. Why? Because user control is how we will get the build method, which you get with stateless widget as well, or stateful widget. So, and it will having a build as this self. Okay, and now this can return something, right? We can return anything out of it. So just to test it, how we will test it? Okay, so what I'm gonna do, we can say, for example, Return text to do app is here, something like this. Let's try to run this and let's see what we get. To do.py, this is how we will run it now, and we can see to do app is here. Okay, this is looking fine. To do app, the setup is done. Now let's start writing some code. So let's remove this return. Okay, we need few things. One is basically we need a way to add a new task, right? So for that, what I can write self.newTask is equal to text field with a hint text which is saying what needs to be done, or we can change it to add a new task here. Okay, and expand is equal to true, which means take the sufficient space which we want. It's similar to what we have inside our normal Flutter application, that same text field. Then we can just say self.tasks as column, or you can also take a list view. That's totally your call. So this is basically, this will contain all the tasks, which, like, if I add a task, this will have the list of tasks. Okay, so that's all you need. Then what we can do now, we have to return something, right? So we can return a column. Okay, we can give it some width. For example, we can give it 600, and we will have to specify some controls. Control is nothing but the list of things which this column have. Okay, so for example, we can have a row which will say all the to-dos. Style will be headline medium. So in material 3 you have headline medium, headline large, headline small, display large, display small, and all those kind of things, or body large, body small, alignment center. So by default it is using material 3. Another row which I want is basically nothing, but I can add a row which will have controls. One will be self.newTask, which is nothing but a text field, and then a floating action button saying an add icon, and on click of it we will call a function called add clicked. This is not yet implemented, we will implement it. Okay, so if I try to run this application as of now, it will show me an error saying that this add clicked is not available, right? So what I'm gonna do, let's get rid of all of these. Okay, let's create this. Okay, I mean, this add clicked we can create. So we can have this def add clicked, and here I can print add clicked. Okay, now if I just run it again one more time, then we can see we have a add new task here, we have an add button here. If I click here, so what actually happens is it says add clicked. Okay, so this is working fine. Now what I want to have another column after this particular thing. So this column will have some spacing. Basically this will carry all my, for example, let's say 25. This will carry all my tasks. Okay, so here I can just say controls, and inside controls I will have all my self.tasks, which is blank as of now. So that's totally fine. And then what I want a row which will have all those sort of things, like if you see alignment as a space between vertical alignment center, self.items left, and clear completed, and when you click on it, it will clear all the items. Okay, so this is something which we will add later. As of now it is not required, but let's have it. Okay, so once we are done with this thing, now once you click on add clicked, what will happen? Okay, so we have to create a new task. Whenever there is a button click, we have to create a new task, right? How you will create it, right? So for that we have to create a new class called task. For example, this will also have a user control. Okay, and now once you have this, then we have to define its constructor, that what kind of values it will take. So for example, this is how we create constructor. So def init, and it takes self, then it takes a task name, it takes a task status change, like if it is complete, active, or whatever, and then what if you want to, like what you will call when you click on the delete button. Okay, Once you are done with that, then you have to just say super dot init, right? We would just want to call the super like constructor of user control basically. And then we can assign few more things, like for example self dot completed is equal to false. So there is a variable now which is completed. By default it is false. There is a variable task name which will assign this task name, then task status change which will assign this, and task delete which will assign this. Okay, nothing much. And then this user control, as I told you, will comes with this build method, right? So we will just copy this here and we will paste it here. This should be like this. Okay, so now this under this build method, I need few things. First of all, I need a checkbox, right? So checkbox display task, for example, which will by default will be false, and then the label will say self dot task name on change self dot status change. Okay, then we want to, like, if I want to edit that task, so we have to have a text field. So to edit it, we will have self dot edit name, which will again a text field which is expanded by default. Okay, and then we will have a display view. Okay, display view is nothing but all the display related stuff. For example, if I add it here, so this is the display view. So display view is what? A row where we have the display task, which is a checkbox. Then we have a icon button editing the to do. Okay, and it clicks edit clicked, and then we have delete for deleting, we have delete clicked. Okay, these are the two things. Okay, and okay, this is basically our display view. Okay, similarly we will have an edit view. When you click on edit button, what will happen, right? There should be something for that. So edit view will have nothing, but if I just write it here, so edit view again row with the visible as false. By default it is false. Alignment in this, it will be visible only when you click on the edit button. So when you click, it will have an edit name which is a text field, and then a button or icon button which is the green button of a tick mark. Where you click, it will update it. So when you click, it will click the save clicked function. When you click on this edit, it will click the edit clicked function, and then the last one is delete clicked. So all these functions are not created, so we have to create it. But before that, we have to return for this build method. Let's say we will return a column. Okay, column will have all the controls. Okay, controls. So all the controls means one will be display view and one will be edit view, right? So these will be the controls. Now let's start with our first function, which will be edit clicked. Okay, so edit clicked will what it will do. So edit clicked will take self and e. It will change the value of the edit name to display task label. Okay, this is not yet available. I'll show you what it is. And then when you click on edit, the display view will be disabled and edit view will be visible. Okay, display view is nothing, which will have all our list, right? And then at the end we just say self dot update. Okay, similarly we will have another function which will be save clicked. When you click on save to update the UI, this is the display task, and then display task dot label, which is nothing, but if you go to display task, it is a checkbox, right? So it has a label. By default it is a task name, so you can basically edit this task. So now here we were just saying that edit name dot value is this particular. So by default, let's say my task name is basically first task. So by default it will assign first task, and when you change it to something else, then it will change it to edit name dot value, and then display view is true and edit view is false. That nothing else. When you click on delete, okay, what will happen? So we can have self dot task delete self. Okay, so we'll just pass this function call. This we will do in the another function, another like here where we are adding or deleting. Okay, we will create this function later. So this is doing nothing basically as of now. And there is one more, status change. When you click on the checkbox, right? So we can just say status changed. So self dot completed will be the display task dot value. Display task is what? The checkbox. Whatever the value of the checkbox, it will be the value of completed. And then we will just call task status change self, right? So that's all we have to do basically. Now, okay. So when you say add task, what happens, right? As of now, nothing happens. Add click does nothing at all. So if I run this application one more time, you will see the application will run fine. If I do anything, nothing happens because we are not adding this view anywhere, this task view. Okay. So let's do that. So inside of our this add clicked, let's remove this add clicked because that's not doing anything at all. Now what we have to do, first of all, we have to assign a new task. Okay. So what we will do, we will go here and we will say a task is equal to task. We will pass new task dot value, task status change and task delete. Okay. These, and then what we will do, we will append it to our self.tasks.controls.append. This task is nothing but a column or list view where we have the controls and we can append it using this. Okay. Append is basically adding to that list. And then once you add a new item, what you want your edit text to be blank. So we will just say empty edit text, and then you can just say update. Okay. And self.update. Okay. Let's see how this works. So if I run it now, we have this add new task here. Let's say I say first task. If I click here, okay, it shows some error. Let's see what is that error. It's saying that my to do object has no attribute task status change. Okay, that's fine. So we don't have this task status change. We don't have this task delete. So we have to create these two functions. Okay. So one will be task status change, which will do nothing, but just call the update function because that's the main job. Task delete will be similar. It will just remove the task from the list. So task.controls.remove task and then update it. Okay. That should be fine. Now let's run it again one more time. And this time let's delete the other one. Let's say first task. Let's see plus, and you can see our first task. And if I click completed, nothing happens, although it works, but nothing is happening. If I click edit, I can change it. For example, first task new, and then we have this button. If I click here, update to do, and you can see it is updated. If I delete, it will be deleted. So things are working just fine. So this is working. Now I told you that there will be a okay, let's do one thing. Let's apply some filters over here. Okay, for example, I had some tabs and all, right? How we will do that? So what I'll do, when I was having this task, beside that, what I can do, I can have self.filter. Filter is nothing but tabs. By default, the selected index is 0. On change, we will call self.tabs change. This is a function which we will create, and then we will have tabs like all, active and completed. Let's make this capital. Okay, this is fine. So these will be our filters. Now we have to add it to our view. So we have this self.neuters, we have this self.tasks. So what we will do after this, or before this self.tasks, we can have self.filter. Okay, this is something which we can do. And then if I run it again, okay, tabs changed is not available, so we will fix that as well. Okay, one more thing which I want to add before I do that change. I want to have another variable, another text basically saying that 0 items left, how many items actually left, the active items and all. Okay, so this is something which I want. And then I want to add it as well. So where we are having this, I'll just uncomment this code which I added it initially, where we have a space between self items left and an outline button which just says clear completed, and it has a function called clear clicked. So we have two more functions to implement. One is clear clicked and one is this tabs changed. which we have defined over here. This tabs changed. Okay, so let's add these functions as well. Okay, so first will be tabs changed, which will do nothing actually. It will just update the UI. Okay, so tabs change is done. Now we have clear clicked. Clear clicked is what it will do. So clear clicked will check all the task in the controls, and if it is completed, it will delete it. Okay, so this task delete is another thing which we have created just on the top, this task delete. Okay, so that's what it is doing. There's one more problem though, which I'll just show you. Okay, we have all active completed. This is working fine. For example, if I add a task, first task, right? If I click here, first task is done. If I checkbox it, you can see we have still 0 items left. Inactive, incompleted, all this is showing. It should not show in the active, right? Which means when I change the tab, nothing is updating, right? So why that is happening? If I click clear completed, it completes all. Okay, there is one more problem which we will just fix. So when I just say tabs change and I say self.update or task delete self.update, it is just calling the super constructor, so not super constructor but super update. Okay, and then what I want to do that, but at the same time I want to change the status of our tab. Okay, so what I will do, we will override this function. Basically we will have another function over here which will be update. Okay, and it will, first of all, it will have a status of the selected tab. For example, selected tab is active, so I will have a status saying that this is active or this is all or whatever. So we will, and then we will have a count, which is by default it is 0. Okay, we will increase the count with the time. So what we will do, we will write one for loop here for task in self.task.controls. Okay, we have to visible the task in some situation, task.visible. Okay, and we can close it like this. Okay, when it will be visible, first of all, if status is equal to all, okay, then it should be visible. Or if status is, okay, let's say status is active and task is not completed, okay, then it should be visible. And the third is status is completed and task is also completed, then it should be visible. Okay, if not task is completed. If task is not completed, then what we will do, we will increase the counter to +1. Okay, and then item left value we will also change. So what we will do, after this for loop, we will just say self dot items. Okay, this should be like this, self dot items dot left dot value is this count active items left, this many items are left. Okay, and at the end we will call the update method of super class. Okay, so super dot update. So what will happen now, when you will on tab change or anywhere, when you will click this self dot update, it will go here first and will change the status. Okay, so I think that should be fine. Okay, let's try to rerun it one more time. So now we have 0 items left and all. We will add first task, add. We have 1 active items left. This is fine. Completed is blank, which is fine. Active had 1. We will have 1 more second task. Plus we have 2 active items left. Active is 2. Completed is none. Okay, let's complete 1. So we have 1 active items left, which should be shown here. Okay, so this is the active one. This is the completed one, which will be shown here. Okay, perfect. So this is working just fine. We can just say clear completed and completed is gone. So looks good. Add it. Okay, this looks fine. All right, guys. So this is our to-dos app. We are done with the tutorial of this and it looks pretty good, I guess. And yeah, it's fun. It's writing this particular application is Python is pure fun, and this framework is working as expected, so no problem in that as well. Let's also try to run it into our macOS app, python 3 to do dot app. Okay, we have this over here. Same thing, let's add something. Let's delete something. Active, let's say active completed. Okay, looks good. Okay, so this is our to do app, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts about this new Python framework. I hope that you will like it as well. Give a star to the GitHub repo. I'll update this code on GitHub, and yeah, make sure that you go through it, you play with it, and also comment down what you think about it for sure. Because if you are interested in such kind of videos, I'll create more. Subscribe to the channel, that's a humble request, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, go ahead, enjoy the day. Bye bye.